The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.
Welcome to the Optavia Habits of Health webinar. I'm a certified Optavia coach, and my name is Craig Blanchett, and it is my pleasure to host this webinar for you today. If this is your first time joining the Habits of Health webinar, a special welcome to you. This meeting is for all Optavia clients, coaches, and health professionals. So what if you don't fit into one of those categories? Well, maybe you're simply here and you're interested in learning more about creating optimal health in your life. Well, I want to issue a warm welcome to you as well. You may also hear content geared to those in the weight loss phase of their health journey, those in transition, and for those in our optimization phase. And optimization is the life you live after you've lost your weight. Optavia offers excellent tools and support for weight loss, but we don't stop there. We have a lot to offer to anyone who is looking for better health in any area of life. If you are in the weight loss phase, perhaps the 5-in-1 structured meal plan, please be sure to follow the guidelines that have been set up by your coach. This webinar is also being recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel and our podcast channel within about 48 hours. You can find that on YouTube. You need to search for Habits of Health Zoom, and you can also search for the podcast by opening the podcast player of your choice. iTunes is one that we recommend, and just search for Optavia. For those of you who are listening to this recording or podcast later, we're glad you've taken the time. We invite you to join us next time and be part of our discussion. We'll have a live chat discussion going on here where we will be talking about things and encouraging each other. And so that happens, the live broadcast of this happens every Wednesday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 5:30 p.m. Pacific. So we're going to get into our topic today. It is called You, Success, and the 5-in-1. I don't know if you've ever heard the term, but close enough only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. You guys ever heard that? Well, the reality is that close enough on the 5-in-1 oftentimes is not good enough. It's sort of like you're making a recipe and you get the recipe close, but it just doesn't taste right. Well, that's what the 5-in-1 is like. When you follow the 5-in-1, it is a specific set of recipe ingredients that lead to a specific result at the end. And so we're going to be talking about what the 5-in-1 is, and anything outside of that is not the 5-in-1. And so if you are having, if you feel like the program maybe isn't working for you anymore, the reality might be is you might not be working the 5-in-1. You might be working some alternate program. And so what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen, and we're going to be walking through some ideas and some guidelines to make sure that the program that you're doing is actually the 5-in-1, so that we can get the predictable results that you signed up for. So I want everybody to go to the chat window right now and chat the plan that you're on. You could be the 5-in-1, you could be the 4-2-1, you could be the 3-in-3. Nursing Moms program. We've got many programs which I would consider strategies that we use based upon the results that you want to get. Now, the 5-in-1 is a powerful program, and it is our most popular one, primarily because it allows us to lose the most amount of fat in the shortest period of time. So type that into the chat right now. What is the program that you originally chose when you got involved with this process? All right, so I see some 5-in-1. Obviously, a lot of people started with that. Excellent. All right, so basically what we're going to do is we've talked about the program that you wanted. Now, what I want to go to next is why you chose that program. So the reality of what we're working on here is we want to talk about what you want and why you want it. If we don't start with what it is that you want to do and why that's important to you, then we're not going to understand and be able to coach you to that future place. What'll happen is you'll just end up getting farther away from what you don't want. But most of the time, as you get farther away from what you don't want, you lose your momentum and you get stuck. You're not where you want to be, but you're not where you were, and you're stuck in that middle place. And so we really have to stop and talk about what it is that you want from today forward. What is it you want to build? And why is that important to you? And I just want to really encourage you that don't skip this step, because if you don't know what you want and why you want it, you probably will get it. You'll get something. Who knows if it's actually what you want? So, so then the second question is that, are you getting what you originally wanted? Take a minute, be honest with yourself. Are you actually, if let's say you're trying to get to Disneyland and you're taking a highway, well, eventually you're either going to get there or not. And it's not a being judgmental, but the reality is that, did you make it to Disneyland? Did you actually get to where you said you wanted to go? So that's a couple things that I want you to focus on here and talk through as we're working through this. If you're not getting what you want, maybe the path you're on is not the one that's actually leads to where you want it to go. So here's the question. Another question. There's going to be many questions today. Are you following the plan you chose? Are you really following it? Do you even know what specifically the 5-in-1 is? You may have done it many years ago, and you've come back to the 5-in-1, but you come back to a modified version that you sort of ended up when you stopped the last time. So you may have added and supersized and added little exceptions, and the 5-in-1's no longer working. Well, because you're not actually doing the 5-in-1, you're doing the 5-in-1 plus those things that you added. So again, we talked about close enough is not always good enough for many. And so here's a concept: modified plan equals modified results. What do you think about that? If you do a specific plan, you will have specific results. If you modify the plan, you'll modify results. So if you're struggling and things aren't working the way you want it to work, let's go back, and we're going to do that today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of a fun story here. This story is I was working with a client, and we were on a video chat. Sometimes we do video chat, sometimes we do telephone. And so I was talking with this client, and I knew that she was on the 5-in-1, and I knew it wasn't her first time on the 5-in-1. And she has a specific type of squash that she really likes. It's called delicata squash. I've never tasted it. I assume it's wonderful. And she was going from a room in her house through the kitchen to her office where we were talking. And I noticed she grabbed something and put it in her mouth. And I said, "What plan are you on?" She goes, "I'm on the 5-in-1. And I go, "What was that?" She goes, "That was a delicata squash." And I said, "It sounds like you're on the 5-in-1 plus delicata squash every time I walk through the kitchen plan. Now that's not the 5-in-1. That delicata squash can be part of your Lena Green, but not every time you walk through the kitchen. And so she just stopped and she goes, like, it was like an epiphany she had. She goes, you're right. I'm actually not doing the 5-in-1. So I'm probably not getting the results that the 5-in-1 promises. So again, modified plan equals modified results. Got another story I'll tell you later about serving sizes and making sure we go through that. So if what you want has not changed from when you originally began, are you willing to do what it takes? Only you can answer this question. If what you want to create in your life hasn't changed, you still want it, are you willing to basically pay the price, count the costs, to do the work necessary to get to where you want? And by the way, there's always going to be a cost to get what you want. And it's a necessary cost for the process. If we could go to Amazon and 2 days order Optimal Health, and Amazon would just deliver it, we'd all do that. But guess what? There's no such thing. Health is not delivered in a 2-day Prime shipment. Health is something you earn. And it's something that will cost you something. Now, the question you have to answer yourself is the cost of earning it worth the benefit of having it? And I don't know about you, but waking up in the morning and having a body that answers yes to any question I ask it is an amazing value for me. You want to do this today? My body says, well, we can. If you want to build a body that says yes when you ask it questions, can I? And it just says yes. That's what we're talking about here. So think about that. That's out there in the future. So again, modified plan equals modified results. So let's do a little refresher on the details and the specific ingredients that are necessary for the 5-in-1 to have success. So go ahead and grab your pen and paper, and you can write these down on your pen and paper, or you can answer in the chat window with just a yes or a no or a maybe, right? And so you can pull up your chat window right now and you can do that. So the first question is, are you eating 6 times per day? Yes or no? Are you eating every 2 to 3 hours? I set a timer on my watch, and I just tell my phone, hey Siri, countdown timer 2.5 hours, right? And I just set that up, and then it does a countdown timer. And the neat thing about that, by the way, my phone just set a countdown timer for 2.5 hours. Anyway, it just beeps at me, and that way I can just reset it again when I want to start over and have my next meal. I've been working my Habits of Health program for more than 7 years now, and I still regularly set timers because I don't want to miss my fueling. That's why I look at that gauge on my car. When it gets to eat, I fill up my tank. I just do it because I don't want to run out of gas. All right, so eating 2 to 3 hours, and you're beginning with your first meal within an hour of waking up. So are you doing all that? Yes or no in the chat? Then part of your 6 times per day, you're having 5 of those be one of our amazing Optavia fuelings. 5 of those, not 4, but 5. And then you're lean and green. And the lean and green is the more challenging one. What I love about the fuelings is that it's simple and easy to get all of the details right. You open it up, you eat it. When the package is empty, your meal is done. You don't have to worry about vitamins and minerals and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to worry. You just eat it. Eat for flavor and texture. That's it. Now there's the lean and green meal, where we want you to actually learn something about how to interact with food, about how portion sizes and low glycemic ratios and all these types of things that we go over with you in the Optavia guide. All right. So your lean and green is something that you measure. Now, how are you going to weigh 6 ounces of chicken if you don't have a food scale? Think about that. Are you weighing and measuring your lean and green? Or is that what you did the first time through the program, and maybe you're on the 5-in-1 again for various reasons, and you just are eyeballing it, right? A lot of times when you go out to a restaurant and you order a chicken salad, the standard chicken breast is about 3 ounces. So how many of you order 2 sides of chicken on your salad? Something to think about. It's 6 ounces, not 3. All right. So if you're not weighing your food or measuring it, then you might be getting more or less than what the 5-in-1. And if you want to do the 5-in-1, it's a specific thing. So here's another story. I have another client. We'll call her Sarah. And I was working with Sarah, and I asked her, tell me about your lean and greens. And she said, okay. And she told me all about the protein. She was very specific about the protein. And then I said, well, tell me about your green, your salad, or whatever the green portion is. And she goes, oh, I never measure my salad. I just have as much salad as I want. And her reasoning was that she said, salad doesn't have any fat, and so I eat as much as I want. And so I paused for a minute, and I said, tell me about what we're primarily focusing on with this program. Are we focusing primarily on fat content, or are we primarily focusing on blood sugar and glycemic index and balancing that out? And she goes, oh, salad has carbs. I'm like, yeah, that's all it has. Carbs and water, pretty much. And some fiber. And so all of a sudden she realized that she was supersizing her salad. And even though there was no fat content in it, the carbs were high. And so it was kicking her out of fat burn. So great discovery. So if you want predictable results, we have to obviously follow a predictable program. Next one, are you measuring your healthy fat? The healthy fat is not optional fat. It's necessary fat. So if you do 6 ounces, let me turn to my lean and green guide right here. If you choose chicken breast or white meat without skin, you get 6 ounces of that plus 1 healthy fat serving. Okay, and the bottom of the page, healthy fat servings. You got some options there. Now, what if I were to choose fish? Flounder, haddock, grouper, tilapia, mahi-mahi. Well, then I need but I need to have 2 healthy fat servings. Your body needs fat in order to make all this thing work, right? So that's the 5-in-1. So are you measuring your healthy fat and your condiments? Yes or no? Go ahead and post that there. Post that in the chat. All right. You can keep posting here. I'm going to move on to the next one. Are you sticking to the optional maximum of 1 snack per day? And I emphasize optional and maximum. Are you measuring it? 10 almonds is an optional maximum snack. Are you having a handful, or are you measuring out 10? Is it 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, and 10 at night? Or is it 10 for the whole day? And by the way, I want to say it's optional. Your mind may tell you need something, but I just want to let you know that if you stick just to the 5-in-1 and leave out the optional snacks, it's remarkable, the better results. Okay, now on to the next one. Are you drinking at least 64 ounces of water? That's the minimum. Well, let's say you've only drinking 12 ounces a day for the longest time. Well, move it up to 32. A couple days, move it up to 48. A couple days, get up to 64 in a process of growing better over time. But you need to get to that 64 because that's what the 5-in-1 recipe says. So how do you know how much water you're getting? Do you measure it? So are you getting 64 ounces, yes or no? Do you measure your water? 64 ounces, right? Are you getting at least 7 hours of sleep every night? at least. Now there's the exceptions, but as a standard rule, do you count back from when you need to get up 7 or 8 hours and you say, that's my bedtime. And then 30 minutes before that, you're preparing your body to have its sleep time. Think about that. And there's 2 more left. Ready? One's about healthy motion. Are you moving? Too much? Too little? How would you know what's too much or too little? Well, we have this awesome thing called nutrition support. 1-888-OPTAVIA. What? 1-888-OPTAVIA. You can call, ask for nutrition support, and they can help you. Make sure you're getting not too much, but the right amount. And last is stress. Stress is something that we can't always control. So what if we have a stressful time in our lives, right? You know, depending on what time of year you're at, you might be having more stressful time at work or at home or whatever. So one of the things you can do, if you can't limit the stress in your life, you can learn to process it. Habits of Health, page 314, is a great little exercise. So maybe take a note of that. But another thing you can do is you can actually just learn to stop and breathe. Just 4 deep breaths. Just stop. You feel something kind of stressful. You feel a little bit of anxiety, and you just stop and you breathe. That will help your brain change its chemistry, sort of like a magic thing. Simply breathing can change the brain chemistry. All right. So we just covered a ton of stuff. If I asked you the question I asked at the beginning, now, would you change your answer? I'm doing a program I created called the 5-in-1-ish. Is that the program? Are you on the ish program? I'm doing the 5-in-1 plus delicata squash every time I walk through the kitchen. Is that the program you're doing? So if you're not getting the results that you really want, and I don't know about you, but I just heard a song in my mind. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want, right? That song. You've got to figure out what you really, really want and why you want it. So where do we go from here? Here's a few action items for you. The first step is back to what you want, what you really, really want. I think that's so funny. So don't skip this step, right? It's what you want, what you really, really want. And then why do you want that? Because your why is probably going to be personal to you, and it's going to mean something. It'll be something that will draw you and pull you to it when the pain of being fat goes away, because the 5-in-1 works. You follow the plan, and you will reduce the over fatness in your body, and you will get to a healthy fat level. So what I want you to do here, don't skip that first step, but here's a few things that I want you to do. Here's your Habits of Health action item. Are you ready for it? First of all, you have to be honest with what's going on now, and that you're ready to really do this. So I want you to think about that. Do I really want this? Why do I want it? Do I want it bad? Really bad? Do I want it bad enough that the process of earning it is worth the price for the benefit and the value of achieving that thing, right? So here's your action item. You're gonna, here's the Habits of Health call action step. Text this to your Optavia coach. I am ready to discuss my plan when works for you. I'm ready to discuss my plan when works for you, or any variety of that. So you think about what you really want. You realize you're not on the 5-in-1, you're on the 5-in-1-ish plan, and you're going to text that to your coach so that you can connect with your most valuable resource of this whole thing, right? Okay, so that's the first thing you're gonna do. And then you're going to prepare for the time when you connect with your Optavia coach by revisiting the Optavia guide, right? And so you're going to go through here and you're going to actually look through these things. Look through what Alina Green is. Revisit the healthy fats. Look at what the carbohydrates are. Realize at the bottom of page number 19, it says all vegetables promote healthful eating. But on the Optimal Weight 5-in-1 plan, we need to eliminate the highest carbohydrate vegetables such as carrots, corn, peas, potatoes, onions, edamame, and Brussels sprouts. Doesn't say those aren't healthy, but they have too many carbohydrates in order to establish a strong fat burn. All right, so you are going to get that guide out, and while you're going through the guide, you will see a crucial tool. You might have realized that you're trying to keep track of the program you are doing in your mind. If you track it in your mind, you can change it in your mind. Like that. And all of a sudden you went from the 5-in-1 to the 5-in-1-ish. Kind of like that, 5-in-1-ish plan. So if you actually want predictable results and you want to do the 5-in-1 program includes the Optavia guide. It also includes writing down what you eat, what you drink. It's establishing this stickiness in your head, in your mind, so that these habits become actual habits and not temporary, changes. All right. So you're going to go through that. You're going to walk that. And then fill out the journal, the 5-in-1 journal, and snap a picture of that and send that to your coach. Snap a picture of what your journal is, what you want, why you want it. Concrete that. Get that somewhere that's written down and let somebody know about that. By the way, if you don't have the Optavia guide, you can download it online. And that's http:// it's up on the screen here, bit.ly/Optavia guide. We're going to sing to you today, right? So bit.ly/Optavia guide. And you can download an electronic version of that. Or you can also place a new order for one of those on your next Premier order. All right. So here's a few steps that I'm going to leave you with. Planning for success. Believe it or not, you can predict the future if you plan. Are you ready for your homework? Here we go. First, create your plan for tomorrow. Just start with your plan for what you're going to do tomorrow. Send it to your Optavia coach. Discuss the plan with your coach to make sure it's accurate. Make sure that you're not missing something because they've got some experience with this. And then follow your plan throughout the day. Check off the things that you said you were going to do that were part of your plan as you go. And then you want to log that plan for 1 week. Log 100% of what you said you were going to do and what you did do. Now, is this going to take some extra time? Yes. Are we going to get different results? Yes. It's going to help you see if you're off course. Your Optavia coach will love seeing your plan ahead of time. And at the end of the day, when you've got those things chalked off, snap a shot and send it to them. And that's going to tell your brain this is important and you did it. So hopefully you realize now that if you were doing the 5-in-1 plan or if you were doing the 5-in-1-ish plan, you now know. I want to leave you with this last little piece here. If you weren't doing the 5-in-1 plan and you were doing the 5-in-1-ish plan, please don't waste your energy beating yourself up. Imagine if you were cooking a recipe and you just didn't add enough cinnamon. Are you going to beat yourself up? No, you're going to go add some more cinnamon, right? So what you're going to do with this plan is if you weren't doing the 5-in-1 like it's designed, then what you can do is now you can modify it and work with your coach, and then you can get those predictable results. So it's my pleasure to host this webinar for you tonight. And I want to encourage you to stay connected with your coach. Let them know, don't do this by yourself. The reality here is that you're only as good as you are by yourself. But when you connect with others, you will just have amazing results. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. And thanks for listening. Take care.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some Optavia coaches or clients of Optavia. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the Optavia team.